Ciao ragazzi! Welcome to the Med Student Italy channel. I'm Ecem, your tutor and your Med Student pioneer to help you through studying medicine in Italy. I've been silent for a while, but it was because of my final year in med school, plus I was working on great things to help you to achieve IMAT goals. Before we deep dive into the analysis of IMAT 2023, I have 3 big news for you. First one is my IMAT preparation courses are out. If you have been following me for a while, it shouldn't be a surprise for you. I've been professionally tutoring and coaching IMAT students for the last 5 years, and I think I do a great job, especially after your feedbacks from my webinar, which we conducted last December, like almost 14 months ago. We conducted an IMAT 2023 webinar while there were a lot of uncertainties and stress for you. And I received a huge positive feedback about that webinar, telling me that I motivated you, I supported you in some ways, telling me that my insights were quite helpful and my predictions were quite right. So I'm really happy to hear what you have been telling me, and I've been listening to you further. Because last year when I released my IMAT classes, again, around in January and February, because these are the great months to start your IMAT preparation. When I released my courses last year, a lot of you guys, I had to let you down because of the quota of my classes. Until this year, I was only accepting 10 students. Among those hundreds of emails, I had to choose 10 students for my classes because my IMAT classes, they were live, which means that every weekend we were coming together during an online meeting and I was teaching live. But this year you don't have to worry about the start date of my classes or about the quota of my classes, because this year I'm releasing a new structure. In this new structure we have modules for IMAT, meaning that I actually separated the IMAT topics as logic and general knowledge, biology, anatomy and physiology, chemistry, and lastly math and physics. So according to the exam structure and division, I divided my courses into modules. And I recorded necessary lectures that I actually teach you the subject from a very basic level to the IMAT level. Moreover, these courses have been enriched with not only via the videos and lecture recordings, but also websites, useful links, books, summary notes, PDFs, or quizzes, question banks, questions to solve, or mock exams and question solving videos and question solution PDFs. All kind of written and visual material that you can imagine, they have been structured into an IMAT curriculum. The further benefits of this module system are, first of all, you can start this course anytime you want, anytime you need. You don't have to follow for any kind of application deadline or live classes. And if you're not living in Europe, this might be a problem. Last year I had students from United States, from Peru, worldwide. So the biggest challenge for us was to arrange the class timings. With this new module system, we no longer have that, because you're going to go to your course website and the page of the unit, and you will click on the video lectures and you will watch them whenever you can and want to. Another thing that I'm very confident about my courses is the study plan that I offer. When you purchase my courses, you will no longer have to worry about how to structure your exam preparation, how to make study plans, how to schedule your studies when you have 6 months or 3 months or 1 month, because in my courses, there are very clear indications on how you should divide your studies and how you should proceed. First of all, the material is perfectly tailored for IMAT curriculum. And if some changes occurs, because we are in February and usually the Italian Ministry of Education, they like to announce the changes during spring or summertime. So if they ever make changes in the curriculum, your course structure will be changed automatically by me. Meaning that once you purchase this course, the structure can be adjusted and updated based on what we need for IMAT 2024. I will be in direct communication with you and indicate the changes or possible warnings about your preparation, and moreover, you will see those changes and updates in the course folder that you have. Once you have access to these courses, you will also have a study plan, a structure to follow weekly, meaning that once you purchase this course, you will know how much study and what to study every week. Additionally, you will have time for revisions and question solving. because watching a lecture or watching hundreds of hours of video, they are not enough on their own if you don't have time for revision and question solving. In my courses, I include further tips about how to do revision and further resources for your revision sections with my summary notes, flashcard links, etc. For the question solving, which is another challenging point of IMAT preparation, you don't have to worry either, because there will be question sheets, basically homeworks, after every unit or lecture that you have to solve. With that study plan, every week when you open your course website, you will know what to study in that week or what to revise in that week. Furthermore, I include some tips on how to adjust your plan based on your schedule and needs. Because majority of my students or majority of the IMAT community here, they have ongoing high school lectures or another university exam preparation or university or work commitments, meaning that we are all busy people, and I know what does it mean. I'm a medical student who has to work, produce this content and courses for you, and smash my exams in med school. So you can rest assured, in the last 6 years, I improved some systems for me that can work for busy students who has to learn a lot, revise a lot, and succeed a lot. If you're curious how my lectures look like, I uploaded a free biology lecture video, so you can go and check it on my YouTube channel. Moreover, we have newsletter, a new website, and a Telegram group. I'm gonna link all of them below so that you can stay updated for IMAT 2024. I strongly recommend joining to my newsletter because every month, and when there's a date or important notification, you will receive a newsletter from me about what's the most important thing during that time. Moreover, in my newsletter, I will include study tips, resources, or important reminders for your application or for your exam. In my newsletters, I will also include discount codes for my IMAT courses, or basically every resource that I create for you. And if you keep watching this video, you will see a hidden discount code in the video so that you can use it for your IMAT course purchases. My courses can be great for everyone who are international students who had to deal with pre-application, application, university study steps, visa applications, scholarship applications, all those applications in the Italian bureaucracy to be able to study here. They are hard and they are stressful. So during your marathon of IMAT, the exam itself will not be the only thing that you will have to focus on. There will be strict deadlines or document preparation that you have to follow. And I know how stressful it is. So when you get into my IMAT classes, you will no longer worry about your exam preparation, and you will successfully complete your paperwork with less stress, hopefully, during your journey. These courses can be great also for people who graduated from high school a long time ago. I know the feeling because half of my students come to me after they graduate from high school or even university, and they want to take a different path, which is very brave, and I applaud you here. So these courses can take you from the basics, from the things that you forgot or never ever learned, to the IMAT level. Let's move on with IMAT 2023 analysis. In this video, we will have two big sections. In the first section, we are going to analyze the exam paper and the questions, the way that they ask those questions. And in the second section, we are going to talk about the results of IMAT. Now that we are in February, we can confidently talk about the scores, cutoff scores and rankings of those universities and what you have to achieve in IMAT 2024. There will be some predictions. Obviously, as I always warn you, please don't listen gossips. Always try to stick with the official resources, and I will try to be as reliable as and as rational as possible during the things that I tell you. Let me start with some general information about the exam structure and what happened that we are so worried for IMAT 2024 as well. Last year around November, we had a strange announcement from the Cambridge website. By the way, the Italian Minister of Education, they were completely silent for many months. We learned that from the Cambridge Exam Center that they are going to no longer conduct the IMAT exam. And then the questions, they started to arise. Who is going to prepare the exam? What will be the structure? Is it going to be written or online, etc., etc. Not only for you, but even for me as a tutor with 5 years of experience, it was a quite stressful time. During these uncertainties, I warned you about stick with a study plan and cover all the basics that we had in the previous IMAT curriculum and improve your science knowledge and have question solving experience. This is the same strategy that we are going to apply this year as well. Until we hear the official announcement about IMAT 2024, you have to start. Because if you wait for those official announcements, probably you will have only 2 or 3 months maximum for your exam preparation. And in this last year's exam, we saw that 2 or 3 months of exam preparation, they are not enough because the competition is higher than ever right now. It was nothing new when they changed the number of the questions of IMAT sections last year, because until 2023, since 2011, they made a lot of changes, especially with the question numbers. On the other hand, the curriculum subjects, they remain more or less the same. So for me, it was no surprise that they are going to change the questions one more time, but this time they made slightly bigger changes. Right now, with the current IMAT 2023 structure, we have 5 logic and reading comprehension questions, 4 general knowledge questions, 23 biology and physiology questions, 15 chemistry questions, 13 math and physics questions. Now, with this number of the questions, they indicated us that they care about math and physics section. And secondly, the most important section of the exam is biology with its 23 questions. They also indicated us that the general knowledge lost its importance because there were previous exam papers where we had 12 general knowledge questions. And it was always concerning for IMAT candidates. But with 5 logic and 4 general knowledge in the current structure, we know that you still have to have skills of reading, understanding what you read, and basics of general knowledge for 9 questions in total. And this small amount of questions can make a slight difference in your scores and rankings, especially if you're a non-European student who is already scoring well in the science part. Because during the last years, not only 2023, but also the previous years than that, I've been always telling, especially to my non-European candidates, that you guys are good at science, and we can see it on the exam paper. More or less, the non-European students, since they don't know how to approach logic and general knowledge questions, they were skipping that part and focusing on the science part, which they can know or find resources easier. Regarding this approach, I don't blame you, but also when we had more questions in the logic and general knowledge in the past, it was not so smart move to do this. But right now, since we have less questions as 5 logic and 4 general knowledge, I think it's wiser to start with the science part to your exam preparation. Not only to start, but also include every sections of the science, biology, chemistry, math and physics. There were some years that specific group of students, they were ignoring math and physics part due to 2 reasons. First, many students are choosing to take IMAT because they don't have basic ground level of math and physics knowledge. And second, they were skipping the sections as they had less number of questions. But from now on, it's no longer possible. If we have 13 questions from math and physics, you should not skip this part, and your math and physics preparation will have important influence on your IMAT score and ranking. So overall, for IMAT 2023 paper, I would say in a 1 sentence, same but different. Now, what does it mean? Let me explain. In this paper, we saw the importance of math and physics, and slightly the questions were more challenging comparing to past papers, and the logic and general knowledge section were relatively easier compared to past years again. And I will explain why this might be a trend and not a one-time only thing. But before that, I have 2 things to tell you. First of all, when you compare the papers, that's what I do always as an IMAT tutor. My first reaction was being angry to the exam paper because the questions were simple. And don't be mad at me because I tell you this. There were a significant simplicity in the questions of IMAT 2023 comparing to previous years. I think there are 2 reasons for that. First of all, Cambridge is no longer the IMAT author, meaning that a native English speaker is not preparing this exam, okay? Our Italian professors are going to prepare this exam. So the language of the paper was a bit confusing and simpler. A bit confusing because there were some expressions or sentences that I didn't find so clear, and I thought that maybe you could collaborate with a native English speaker or get a system that will correct your grammar, you know? Because I'm not a native English speaker either, and I make mistakes all the time, so I know the struggle when I prepare materials and questions for my students or when I simply talk in the videos. But if you are a country's exam preparation center, I think you should pay attention to your grammar and language as well. And this is something that I didn't like because even if the questions, they were super simple, it was hard to understand for many students. On the other hand, if we ignore the language and grammar part, and if we hope that they are going to improve, the questions, they were more straightforward. Unlike the Cambridge prepared papers, they were more straightforward. And if you can catch what they're asking with no language barrier, they were more direct to the knowledge. Now let me explain why I think that this is going to be the trend and not a one-time thing for our IMAT exams. Because a few days ago, before I make this video, we heard from reliable Italian news resources that they are going to have some changes for the Italian medical exam. And when I say this, like many of the students, they are confused and they reach me out, but I don't want you to get confused. In Italy, we are switching back to basics here. In Italy, different departments like medicine, engineering, or economics, whatever, or different universities like Politecnico di Torino or Politecnico di Milano, they can conduct their own exams. In fact, that's what they are doing. So the exam that you will take if you want to study engineering in Italy will be different than the IMAT exam. IMAT is specifically only for government universities' English medicine faculties. So if you want to study medicine but in Italian, the exam that you take is called TOLC MED. So I hope it's clear now, because I don't want to receive questions about this after putting so much effort to explain what is that, what is this. So please at least search about the basics on the internet. TOLC MED is the Italian medicine faculty exam, and it's been happening for some years with different names, different formats, but it's been happening just like IMAT. So a few days ago, we had some updates about TOLC MED structure, which is conducted before IMAT. To give you a timeline, IMAT is usually conducted in September of every year. So you take the exam in September and then you wait for the results and start your university around November or December. And if you don't know the basics about the timeline, I have a timeline video for IMAT, you can check it out. And TOLC MED exam, it's been conducted during summer. And I think the main reason to do this is to create a sort of advantage for Italian students, because they take TOLC MED first, and if they cannot achieve what they want in that exam, and if they have sufficient English levels, they can apply for IMAT as well in next 2 months. So these were the basics about TOLC MED versus IMAT and when they happen. We learned that the TOLC MED question numbers, they have changed, and when I see the number of questions, I was not so surprised. They are exactly the same number of questions in the IMAT division, meaning that in the TOLC MED now they are talking about making 5 logic questions for general knowledge, 23 biology, 15 chemistry, 13 math and physics. So the number of the questions for the next TOLC MED 2024 is just like IMAT 2023, which shows us that this is not a one-time thing. They are thinking about making these exams structurally very similar with the same number of questions. And if they change TOLC MED like this, meaning that IMAT 2024 will be in this way as well. Obviously, we will going to see what happens and what will change. But before you ask, I think it's very unlikely to have an online IMAT exam because of the recent cheating issues in university exams in Italy that are conducted online. In fact, other universities or other faculties, they are switching their online exam to in-person or paper-based exams to deal with this issue. So I think considering the number of IMAT candidates, and it's bigger than many other exams in Italy, I see that it's very unlikely to have an online exam, and I would prefer it in this way, to be honest. Now let's move on to my comments for every section of the IMAT 2023. First, starting with logic and general knowledge, I already shared a post about this on my Instagram, and on my website there will be a written summary of this video if you want to go and check it out. For logic and general knowledge, actually I'm checking my notes, and first of all, like I already told you, the language was surprising for me, and I find it way easier than the previous year's logic and general knowledge questions. The thing that I didn't like about the logic part was the questions, they were more numerical based questions, meaning that you have to do small calculations and deal with some numbers instead of reading passages. And I didn't like this so much because, first of all, if you put numerical questions, you cannot examine students' English level and understanding level. And secondly, these numerical questions can be frustrating for students because they are not hard at the end, but if you don't know the strategy, they're going to make you lose time. So if you don't have good time management strategy, and if you are not experienced with logic questions, you're going to lose time in this section. But this section is not hard. Although I was thinking that this section is easy, like they're going to score very great in this part, many students came to me, and not my students, by the way, they did better than average in this section, but many external students came to me as like, I struggled in this section, what should I do? You should work on your language and understanding skills, calculation skills, but you should do it in a strategic way that you stick with right resources and right question format for IMAT. So that's why the logic course that is going to be released in next days can be great if you struggle with this part. Regarding general knowledge questions, they were way easier comparing to the past papers again, but what I didn't like about general knowledge questions, like they were too general, like they were too random. Normally we tend to overanalyze the papers as IMAT tutors to see a pattern so that we can explain and induce the right preparation for the next exam. But this general knowledge section, the questions and the topics, they were too random. Obviously, there are some methods to approach general knowledge questions that I teach in my courses, and how you can narrow down what to study, what to check, and increase your chances to get the right answer. However, this part was like they were not so detailed and a bit random. Again, I think you could do at least 2 of them. It wasn't so hard. Like if you are updated with it, or if you have a preparation course from general knowledge, you could do 2 or 3 of these questions at least. Let's check the biology section. In my opinion, the level of the biology questions, they were nor easier or harder comparing to past papers, but the style was different. The style was more TOLCMED biology questions in the way they ask the knowledge and they build the question sentence. So a further evaluation can come after what we see in this year's TOLCMED. But in between TOLCMED and IMAT, we can have another webinar or discussion if you want for further predictions in the science part especially. But I would say that it was a completely doable section, even if the number of the questions, they were high. The questions were straightforward and they were not examining the depth of the knowledge. And I didn't like it as a perfectionist and IMAT tutor, because I always challenge my own students with from easy to hard level questions, and at the end of the course they always deal with hard level of questions. So it was not a distinctive section between the people who prepared in a longer time and with higher number of questions, and the people who just scroll down the biology section and know a few things here and there. The questions, they were too broad and not specific in my opinion. Moving on to my favorite part, chemistry. As always, I'm a chemistry lover and I love to approach chemistry and try to teach it to you, because as a high school student, funny enough, that chemistry was the subject that I struggled most with. So afterwards, when I had to take IMAT on my own and without right resources, I had to take IMAT twice, and this is no secret if you follow me on my social media. And I had to learn chemistry and I had to learn how to approach chemistry questions, and ironically I became a chemistry tutor after I learned that it's easy and fun to learn chemistry. And this chemistry session of IMAT 2023, I think it was not a bummer. Like, it was not a very hard chemistry. It was soft and kind to us, I would say. It was still sufficient and detailed enough to investigate your knowledge and question solving skills in chemistry. However, there were harder papers specifically for chemistry section. So it's not a surprise that they investigated most your mole calculations, redox reactions, and acids and bases, and then therefore organic chemistry. And for chemistry, I always say that you can never start from a random point and you can never have a random study plan for chemistry. It should be very specific, because unlike biology or some other topics in math and physics, the whole curriculum of chemistry is connected to each other. So therefore, you should follow a strict order to learn. In chemistry, the things that you learn about atoms and electrons and periodic table, they all help you to deal with mole calculations, with reactions. The things that you learn about moles and reactions, they help you with the redox reactions and acids and bases. And then the things that you learn in these reaction parts, acids, bases, and the structure of the compounds, they all help cumulatively. They all help you to understand and ace the organic chemistry. You cannot achieve a good understanding of organic chemistry without knowing the previous 8 units or many other subjects for chemistry. I say 8 units because in my course we have approximately 8 to 9 units to learn chemistry curriculum. Regarding math and physics, they were also very interesting because they were harder, and they were harder comparing to past papers years, and they ask specific subjects which you should spend more time and strategy in your preparation. For example, they ask about kinematics, and it's not a surprise. They always ask about kinematics on IMAT. Secondly, they ask about statistics, and statistics, if you check past papers, is not a surprise. They always want you to have certain level of statistics understanding in logic part and also math and physics part. Furthermore, algebra, the principles of algebra, they were tested, but you should know basics or some extensive knowledge in algebra to achieve a good score in math and physics. And there is one more topic to pay attention in math and physics section, which is connected to chemistry skills and knowledge, and that is mass, volume, speed, and gas law questions. Because these scientific topics, they are both connected to chemistry and physics. And in this exam, we saw that they are asking about them in the math and physics section, which made me think that if you study chemistry well enough, you would not miss those questions, or at least have the basics to understand them. And overall, this section proved that we should skip no longer math and physics questions. You should ace this section as well in order to get a good score and ranking. After the exam, I was following Facebook groups, Telegram groups, or overall students communications. You were reaching me out, and majority of people complaining about how hard the exam is. And I was like, first time here. And here comes the secret discount code. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. If you guys are ready, now we are moving to the second main part of this video. We are going to talk about the cutoff scores, rankings, and what to estimate for IMAT 2024. Regarding the cutoff scores and overall the grades of IMAT 2023, here comes my first comment. I told you before that, and I'm telling you again, don't lose time by checking groups, social media, messages, weird information which is not official. Just keep your head down and stick with your study schedule, because this exam showed that even if many students were talking on social media, student groups, Facebook groups, they were telling that the exam was hard. But as an expert, I can see that the exam wasn't hard at all. And we see it in the scores as well. The scores overall, we see a huge increase in the medians in general, and in the averages for each university. We saw an increased trend, which gives us the thought that it's not only the amount of the applicants and raising competition because of the number of the applicants, but also the exam was relatively easy. I don't think that same number of people would increase the grades and averages this much if they were taking the paper of 2020, 2021, because they were relatively harder papers. So we don't know how hard they are going to prepare the IMAT 2024 paper. But what we know is the ones who are keeping their morale high, who stay motivated, who keep studying strategically, they're going to win this marathon. Because when I say marathon, this is not to exaggerate, this is the truth. From now on, we have approximately 7 months until the exam. And some of you have been studying even before this date, and some of you even took IMAT 2023. And let me know about your comments as the ones that took the exam. Let me know what you think. Let me know if I'm wrong or right, so we can discuss in the comments. But you can understand that this is physical, psychological marathon that you should stay disciplined and motivated through the end. So that's why I always tell you, start your studies earlier. Don't wait for official announcement. Don't waste your time on social media by checking comments of other random people. Just start studying and build a structure for that. For many reasons, just like I explained, I hate to talk about the number of scores. I hate giving you predictions, and also to my own students, I was always cutting those conversations as like you should go back to your studying instead of here discussing me on the phone about how X university's cutoff score will be for you. Both non-European and European applications, they should start studying, improving their weak areas, but also keep working on your strong areas and make biology, chemistry, math and physics your strong areas is very important right now, so that you will be confident overall with the paper. And while you keep improving your strength, you should also consider the amount of the curriculum, the knowledge gap that you have personally, and the number of the questions because of their weight in the exam paper. Yet, if we had to give a score, unlike other years, non-Europeans are not safe by scoring 40, 45. Like, if you want to be in the safe percentage, and we did some calculations, like I'm a nerd for numbers, like I can work on numbers, but I'm not gonna bore you with just throwing you some random data, but it would be safe to say that you should score as a non-European at least 55, 57 and more if you want to be safe completely confident with your choice if it goes like this. But if next year the exam is harder than this, then obviously the overall averages will be lower and you won't score that high as well, because the exam paper is hard. But still, it's true that the ones that get the higher score, they are safer. Like it's a very safe bet to say. Moreover, about my European friends, I think you guys have the privilege of going through the rankings and being able to choose multiple universities, which I really appreciate. You should appreciate it too. You should not stress too much. If you're not so ambitious about your university choice, but if you're very ambitious about your first, second, and third choices, then of course you have to score very high grades in IMAT paper. But it would be safe to score at least around 45 to 50 to get a place in one of the choices of yours. On the other hand, let's not forget, unless they change this rule, my non-European friends, they will have only one university to choose. Because like, even if we say hypothetically you can put multiple universities in your choice list on Universally, that's not entirely true, because we as non-Europeans, we grab the seats and there is no opportunity for rankings and scroll downs for further spots in the universities. So usually we have to enter to our first choice, and by usually I mean 99% of the time. Another thing is, it's safe to say that IMAT is no longer a logic and intelligence exam, and I used to hate this comment and find it untrue, and I still say this because like in previous years there were other commenters on social media or in real life telling that if you're smart enough you can get a more or less good score on IMAT exam paper and you can get a place in a university. I used to think that this is untrue, but it's even more false right now because of the way they ask the questions. Your knowledge, your strategy, the materials that you use will be important in your score and in your access to the Italian universities. If you don't know which universities offer English medicine in Italy and what are their number of seats or cutoff scores for Europeans and non-Europeans, don't worry, I'm just gonna link a website down below because many other creators like me, they publish these rankings, so you can check them down below. What I do will be more visual commenting and analyzing regarding these scores, so I'm not gonna publish them somewhere separate because they are already public right now. So these are the things that I want to say today. I hope they were useful and insightful regarding IMAT 2023, and hopefully these analyses can show a light for IMAT 2024 preparation of yours. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video so that you can get more content on this, and don't forget to join my newsletter and Telegram groups. On Telegram groups it's gonna be an actual group where we all communicate, obviously based on rules and politeness, but I don't want to just share my opinion. I want to hear your questions, your problems, so that we can find common ways and build a community together. So check the Telegram group as well. Join the newsletter and start your studies, maybe with my courses. We will see each other on other videos, and also don't forget to check the full solutions of IMAT 2023 paper where I solve every question for you. As we say in Italy, a presto, ciao!